Welcome. This is Jonathan King, your teacher for Christian Worldview 3. So we're opening up today with our just introduction video. I'll be going over the basics of the course, requirements that set expectations for requirements, and covers inform you of some of the topical material we'll be covering. And of course, things like the policies and assessments, assignments. So I'll be going over those. It'll be quick. These lecture material, these notes that I'll be covering are on Moodle, so you can review them if you need to. But without further ado, let me just go through these quickly. Again, if you have any comments, you can give me ask for any comments under the link that I'll post on this video in Microsoft Teams. So I hope everyone's well, remaining well during this pandemic time as it's continuing to go on. My hair has been uncut since the last time, which was a few months ago. So over the course of this term, I imagine it'll remain uncut. Hopefully it won't get too shaggy, just kind of covering my whole face here after a few months. Anyway, let me toggle to our first slide. So Christian Worldview 3. And what I'll be doing here is going through each slide. We'll be using Moodle and Microsoft Teams every session. Every session will be online, and you'll be using materials on Moodle and Microsoft Teams. Here, of course, is my email address. If you have any questions on the material or about the class or the course or assignments or anything, please email me on that email, and I'll respond as fast as I'm able to, usually within a day or two at the most. Again, I emphasize here, everyone needs to make sure that they're online Moodle and that they've received access to the Microsoft Teams. If you have not, then please email me and let me know. Now, the quizzes, there's two quizzes, a quiz before the midterm and a quiz after the midterm. Those will be online, of course, on Moodle, and I'll let you know the specific date. It's one of these two dates. I guess depending on whether you're a Monday, Wednesday class or a Tuesday, Thursday class, it'll be on one of those two dates. This is the time frame that the midterm will be given. The time between June 8th and June 19th. The final is between July 6th and July 17th. Again, I'll give you more specifics as we get closer to that. There's also a project, which I'll get into here a little bit later, a capstone project. This is the final in the series of our Christian Worldview classes, Christian Worldview 3. So at the end of these series of classes, we have a capstone requirement for each student to do. The focus of our topical material will be on the doctrine of the church. That will cover a number of lectures, because there's a lot to talk about there to help us understand the nature of the church and the purpose of the church, and our role within the church. There'll be a lot to cover there, and then we'll have a break from doctrine, and we'll be moving on to Christian living and spiritual formations. This will just be three different lectures on this material, and it's really for the purposes of emphasizing and calling attention to the fact that learning the Christian essentials of the Christian faith. The doctrine is not simply an intellectual thing. It's not merely meant that you grow in information about Christianity, but that you grow in living as a Christian and form and growing in spiritual maturity. And then we end the semester with a number of lectures on what's called eschatology. It has to do with the return of Christ and the end of the world as we know it. So those will be, all of the lectures will involve that on our topical material. We will also be supplementing that with material from 1 Corinthians, the letter from Paul written to the church in Corinth, 1 Corinthians. We'll be going through that all semester long. Okay, so this is what's required for each class. You need the lecture material will be posted on Moodle. I want you to go through that. I want you to go through the video lecture that I post each day in class. I'll also be posting a video for select passages that we go as we go through the letter to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians, or as my friends in Australia say, 1 Corinthians. So we'll be moving through that, and there'll be a separate video as I emphasize things through that letter. Now, I'll be posting some questions, either from the topical material or more likely from about our discussion in 1 Corinthians on a Moodle forum assignment for every day. And you'll have to reply to the question. Every student is required to give a brief answer to the question that I post. Now, I explain all of this in the online learning plan for Christian Worldview 3 that's posted on Moodle. So please see that. It's under the Welcome to Christian Worldview 3, the first, at the very beginning of our Moodle sessions. So please check out that learning plan. A number of points in this slide re-emphasizes what's in that learning plan. Now, class policies, we'll go through this quickly. You can review this more carefully on your own. But what the first 2 points are is a way for me to hold you accountable for participating in the class. So we're meeting. This is online. It's not even synchronous, which means we're not doing these these video sessions together in real time, synchronously, as they say. We're doing it asynchronously, which means I'm posting the video and you're watching it when making time to watch it when you want. So I want to hold you accountable to doing that. And so I'm saying that for every video I post, I want you to give me a thumbs up. Now, you may or may not like the video. The thumbs up is merely telling me that you watched it. If you liked it, great. I hope you do. But give me a thumbs up even if you didn't like the video. That's just showing me that you have watched it. And I'm trusting that the thumbs up means that you have watched it. These will be relatively short videos, under 30 minutes each, typically. And this way it'll serve as a record of your participation, and I can verify that you've been attending to the videos I've been posting. So do that. Now I have here highlight in bold. I'm going to go through the videos all over the course of the semester. If for some reason you don't watch a video, you didn't have time to watch a video or something, I'll give you two times that you get excused from. No questions asked. I hope you watch all the videos. It'll be important for you to do so, to do well in the exams, and I expect you'll be motivated to watch the videos anyway. But I'll give you a pass on 2 of them if for some reason you don't get a chance to watch it. So, now, on the Moodle forums that I mentioned earlier, Again, I'll be tracking responses because I'll be seeing who's responding to my questions every class session, and you're allowed to miss up to 4 responses. Now, I'm not telling you to miss 4. I hope you give a response to every question I post. But again, I'm cutting a little bit of slack here while also keeping you accountable. You're allowed up to 4 to miss 4 responses to my questions. After that, you're subject to failing the course. It's up to my discretion whether I fail you or not. Same thing here. If you miss more than 2 videos, it's up to me to decide if you should fail the course or not. I'm telling you right now, as a policy, that I have the right to fail you if you miss 2 videos or 4 forum responses here. Okay, so just this is, since it's not even synchronous, you can do these things at your convenience. So just do them, and then you'll get full credit. You won't be at risk at all of me failing you. So just do them. It's very simple. It's a very simple requirement. Here, of course, any cheating or plagiarism during the exams or otherwise will result in also a fail. You will get a fail for any cheating or plagiarism. Namely, cheating or plagiarism would come into play during your midterm or your final exams. So just take that very, very seriously. I don't hesitate to fail students at all if I see that they've plagiarized from the internet or from some other source of information that is not their own, that they're just kind of copying or pasting from some other source. Don't do that. You will fail if you do that. There's no makeup exams. Remedial is just means there's no makeup exams. So you can't ask for that if you happen to do bad or just don't take the exam, unless there's a real legitimate excuse. If you have for some reason, circumstances of illness or death or some other family-related situation interferes with your ability to take care of the course requirements, email me and let me know, show me some evidence, and we'll reschedule or we'll work around your situation. But you have to communicate with me. And if you can communicate, obviously if you're sick on the day of the exam or something like that, you're not going to communicate with me ahead of time. But if you can communicate with me ahead of time, maybe a death in the family or something like that, maybe you're feeling sick before the exam and you can't study and you just need time to recover before you take the exam, that's understandable, and I will be glad to work with you, but you have to let me know. These are the assessments for the semester. There'll be 2 quizzes. Each quiz will be worth 5%, but a total of 10% for the quizzes. There'll be the quizzes will consist of 10 questions that are multiple choice. 10 multiple choice questions based off of our lecture notes. Okay. There's a chapel attendance is one of the assignments here. And again, there's 3 chapel attendance required for this accelerated semester. 3 chapel attendance, not 5 as in the regular semesters, just 3, and they're worth 10% grade total. That's with reflections, of course. Now I say here with my asterisks, use the template for temple reflections that I posted in the Welcome to Christian Worldview 3. So that template is a Word document. This is a Word document that is under the in Moodle under Welcome to Christian Worldview 3, and that's the template that you'll use for each reflection. Okay, and then you'll just compile your reflections into one document when you send them to me. Okay, the capstone I will discuss in detail here in a moment. actually the next slide, but that's worth 15% of your grade. It's the final project in the Christian Worldview series of classes. These are individual projects, not group projects. So you'll each be doing an individual project worth 15% of your grade. The UTS, the midterm, is 20% of your grade, and the UAS, the final exam, is 45% of your grade, for a total of 100%. Now, on the chapel reflections, by the way, I didn't give you a date when they're due. It'll be in July. And I will let you know. It'll be before the 17th of July. That's when the capstone is due. For the chapel reflections, it'll be closer to the beginning of July, but I'll let you know that a little bit later. But just know you have to have, by the end of June, you should have all 3 chapels done. The capstone project is really applying and looking at the Christian worldview and your academic major. Okay, so what the project consists of is a 10-minute video. I give you plus or minus 2 minutes of time for you to, the length of the video. So don't worry about nailing it to 10 minutes exactly, but it does have to be within 2 minutes of the 10-minute average time. Okay? And you're going to explore an aspect of your academic major, your field of study, and you're going to consider all of the different aspects of Christian worldview that we've covered. From creation, that we surveyed the Bible in Christian religion. We covered creation and the doctrine of man in Christian worldview 1. We covered the doctrine of sin, and the doctrine of Christ, and the doctrine of salvation in Christian worldview 2. And we covered the doctrine of the church and the doctrine of spiritual formation, and the eschatology, the end of the world according to the Bible, and what happens in the world to come, the world that comes, that this world transforms into. So you'll have to consider all of the things you have learned and are learning in this semester. And then I want you to make a video telling me what aspect in your field of study you want to highlight to see how the Christian worldview applies to it and informs a Christian perspective of it. So email me with your idea. Concerning the topic or the aspect of your major that you want to prepare a video for, and then I'll in all likelihood I will approve it. If there's something about it I don't really like, or I want to suggest something else or ask you to modify it, I will communicate that in our email exchange. But it's your responsibility to email me so I can approve of your idea. The video can, I guess, 10 minutes, but it include various things. You can present, you can do, it's not a group video, so it's just you, but you can include different things in your video to highlight and make it a good video concerning the how it relates to your field of study and what aspect of your major, what your aspect of your faculty major you want to discuss or want to present for your capstone video. This is due by July 17th. Okay. Now, lastly here, we're going to cover the whole entire book or letter of 1 Corinthians. The first lecture we're going to do is 1 Corinthians starting at chapter 1 and going to chapter 2, verse 5. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I'm just introducing it. And here's, so we'll be covering this. I'll make a video of this next, and that'll be posted on Moodle along with this video. And this is a basic outline of the whole letter of First Corinthians. And so we see that we have the cross of Christ, what the significance of Jesus' death on the cross means, how significant it is, and Paul emphasizes that in the first 4 chapters of his letter. Okay, and then we see in the next, like from chapters 5 to chapter I guess 10 or so, we see the application of the cross. In other words, since Christ died for our sins and has conquered sin and death and the devil, what that implies for the kind of people we should be. And so Paul addresses a number of issues in the middle chapters of his letter, and then the last several chapters have to do with spiritual gifts. And then the final, or the second to the last chapter, has to do with the resurrection of Christ, not his death, but his resurrection. So this is the letter itself is 16 chapters long, and we'll be covering all of that over the course of this semester. So again, I will have a separate video. I will have a separate video on the first chapter of Corinthians, all the way to chapter 2, verse 5. So that concludes this video. This one's only about 22 minutes. Most of them will be between this length and maybe up to 30 minutes. I'll try not to keep them any more than 30 minutes at a shot. But that means for each class session, there'll be 2 videos. There'll be a video on a passage from 1 Corinthians, and there'll be a separate video on our doctrine, essentials of the Christian faith, starting with the doctrine of the church. So please review them. If you have any questions, ask me them in the Microsoft Teams. And I look forward to having a good semester with everyone and interacting with you on the forums and on Microsoft Teams and through email. And I wish you all the best. I hope that may the Lord keep you safe and well and your families. And I will be talking to you via the net. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.